No,
Oh.
you lost him.
Josiah's got the picture of Josiah gets me every time I think it's him.
Sorry.
All good.
Okay. All right. Town Hall Building Committee, it is 7:05 PM on April 24th, evening 2023. The roll call, say your first name, please say your full name and that you're here. Kurt,
Garrett Lubitz here.
Tucker,
Tucker Meehan here.
Carolyn,
Carolyn Coffey here.
Wayne,
Wayne Sawchuck here.
Mark,
Mark Cameron here.
Josiah,
Stevenson here.
and Phil Lear here. Thank you very much. Michelle, can we first do the schedule of this week? Can you help us with particularly Wednesday schedule, but tomorrow night and then Wednesday and then Thursday?
Yep. So tomorrow evening, you're going to be meeting with the select board. Wednesday evening, you have several agendas posted. So your first meeting is at 5 PM with capital budget. Your second meeting is with advisory at 7 PM. And that is going to be a joint meeting with capital advisory and the town hall building committee. And then at 8 PM, capital is going to go back into session to deliberate and vote on the project. So you may be asked to come back over there. All have been posted.
Okay. A lot going on there.
I don't believe you're going to have to come back at 8 to capital. I think you're going to give your presentation between 5 and 7. They may not have time to deliberate and take a vote, so they'll go back into session at 8. And you may still be with advisory at that point in time. And then Thursday evening, you have your public forum. I'm sure everyone's aware that there's also the future select board forum going on that evening as well, unless that got changed, but I don't believe it did.
It's at Wilcott Commons.
Yeah, do you think that's going to take away from participants of your forum?
Who knows? I don't think we can reschedule it at this point.
Okay, so that's your schedule for this week.
Perfect. Thank you. So tonight we were going to deliberate a little bit about direction, particularly if we were going to all stay on board for this town meeting going forward or doing something different. I think what I hear is that everybody really likes the project. And I think what I also hear is that everybody really hates the cost of this project. And that's a real challenge to swallow. So, you know, how we move forward, whether that we can change that or understand it better, you know, that's sort of what we're talking about tonight. Realistically, we're not going to cut that cost in half or even 3/4, but I think it being more than we had expected or anticipated has really given us pause. So certainly want to open it up to anybody that has strong feelings one way or another to move forward with this town presenting our plans to move forward at this town meeting on May 1st, or to look for something different. Want everybody jump in.
Okay. I could start, actually. I think what you said first about money and stuff is very important. And I think that we would probably have 100% vote if we were just fixing up the town hall and putting it back into shape at a significantly less cost. And then basically renovate. I'm not thinking about renovating in terms of going back down and tearing the building out, but more of using and doing something with the addition, which is, significantly less than the probably the $20 million cost is for the addition. A $5 million cost is probably to put the old town hall back in shape again. And so, to me, the cost is just absolutely exorbitant for what it is that we're going to get. And the things that are already in place, like at the existing annex, there's a sprinkler system there. There's an electric service that's only 25 years old that's there. There are, almost everything. Certainly, if you went in and put in a new ceiling and cleaned up the walls and changed some things around, that makes a lot of sense. There is a significant amount of meeting space in the newly renovated annex, or the way that the plan is today. That seems a little, crazy. There's 60 seats outside of the town manager's office. And then there's the new auditorium that's just been renovated. Is it really true that you're going to have 60 people there, or you would plan on using the auditorium? But that space is already allocated and it's already being built out and stuff. And I'm absolutely not against working on both projects. I'm just against the amount it's going to cost and some of the things that we're doing. Can we fix the elevator for $95,000, and we're going to spend $395,000 to put a new one in the new basement? The sprinkler system, everything that goes with having things that actually are in place, the vaults, all that stuff that you want to tear out and then duplicate. And it's money that you're spending that you're getting nothing new for. You've got a vault that's going to be in the basement of the new basement, and you have a vault that was in the basement of the old basement. That meets, comes up to speed and everything. So how do you get around that? How do you, do something with what we have to do, and go forward? I guess one other thing, I look at things. On the 22nd, we had a list of things that we thought had not been looked over quick enough. That list went, and we really didn't get many changes at all from that, because it really wasn't answered, because we didn't know who was going to answer it. And I don't want this to go. If it was indefinitely postponed, I understand, for a period of time until September or whatever date it is. I don't know what happens to the vote for the override. But if there isn't something that says that this could be delayed, and it says a no for funding, that's going to be the end of this again for another 4 or 5 years. And I don't think that's right. So those are my feelings for right now.
Thank you. Anybody?
Well, I'm for the design. I understand that this probably won't pass because I can feel it. I've been on this committee for a long time, and I felt more positive things from people back with a lesser cost and lesser design building. So I But I think we just have to be realistic. Now, I was just wondering whether we could keep the building, the addition as is for temporarily, renovate the old town hall, and then do the addition later at a, as a smaller fraction of the total cost. And that might be more palatable. I don't know.
I think that is something that absolutely would go through, because, as I said, the town hall is important to everybody, even though some people say, well, gee, we shouldn't be putting money into it when there's a dramatic club there that, is just, that it isn't going to get the use that or anything. But it is the offices upstairs would be renovated, and as you go along, you could still be operating in the annex while that other work was done. Basically it's going to be closed off and everything would be done to the old town hall, which is what some people think is the most important part of this.
So I guess I have a couple of thoughts just to throw in. Nobody likes the price, right? Let's just be honest. Everybody wants, everybody has spoken favorably about the design. I don't think there are any issues with that. Maybe there are a few small issues, Wayne. I know that you've had some points that I don't think have been addressed, and others, there are some small things, but I think overall we're happy with the design. Right now, we don't have a project to renovate the old town hall. And so if we were starting from scratch, if we were looking at this and we didn't have something to act on, maybe that would be a good strategy, right? Say, let's figure out a strategy to renovate Old Town Hall and then figure out what we want to do with the annex after we finish up that project, right? Like sort of, focus our energy on what we think is sort of the most important part of that structure, or the two structures. Make sure that the old town hall doesn't fall down, that, we basically we can make some improvements to it. We can do all these sorts of things, but we don't have that project right now to consider. We could throw that out there as an opportunity, but I mean, my guess is that if we did that, we're probably not back to this point in terms of putting something to a vote for probably 2 years. Just my guess. And you know what, things might look very different in 2 years than they look today. The way I see it is we have a project right now that's ready to go. I think we've given a lot of thought to it, a lot of consideration. And I think it meets the needs of the town and the charter that we were given, with the exception of the cost. I don't see any scenario we're going to get to at any point where we're going to like the cost. So if we don't like the cost today, we're not going to like it a year from now. We're not going to like it 10 years from now. The question that we have to decide is, do we care about this building? Do we care about having a town hall that meets the needs of the town, that we can be proud of and have it sit on our common? And if so, then we find a way to pay for it. And that's what it is. Like, that's the choice. If we don't value those things, then fine. Let's just make a decision to move on and come up with some other approach. But what we have today is a project to renovate the old structure and rebuild the new structure. And we don't have any other option to go forward on.
Great, thank you.
I think the cost here is far exceeded any of our expectations in terms of cap and where we thought we would be, or where we thought we'd be a month ago, and where we thought we'd be, at any numerous points along the last year. And as far as, yes, it's a great design. It's a design that we're all happy to be associated with and be a part of. But in the end, it's a significant amount of money. It's a significant amount of resources that are being put towards it. And is that the best thing for the town? And is that the best option? Yes, it is it's the project that we have in front of us, the project that we have designed, the only project, the only option that's ready to go right now. But I don't see this as passing if we put this in front of the town a week from today. We have been significantly hampered in our process of being able to communicate this to the town, to set ourselves up to succeed in a manner to deliver the message to the town. And here we are 1 week away, and we haven't formally publicly given the town, the people of this town that are not intimately involved in this process, the expectation of how much this project is going to cost. And for such a large capital project, to not have that been more communicated along the way and be, I just don't think it's going to be well received. And I think that if we put this in front of the town and it gets voted no, which I suspect is going to be the likely outcome between town meeting and or the ballot vote, that this project will be dead for a number of years again before it's resurrected.
What about the idea of putting in a number of $5 to $6 million and put it towards, said that we're going to do the existing town hall now. We'll have a budget. We get $1 million from CPC money and actually work on it. I mean, they have basically in their plans, the architects have said what it is they want to do in renovating, putting the bathrooms here, doing this, doing that. It's a matter of, and my belief is that everything for wiring and things like that in the old town hall is a fire trap and has to be replaced. Whereas wiring in the annex that's existing is pretty much up to code, or is up to code. And it is an absolute fire trap in terms of, I'm surprised that the fire department hasn't almost condemned the building for lack of a sprinkler system and stuff. I mean, as you go through the old town hall and you go down in the different rooms and in the basement, you're looking at all this scenery and stuff, one cigarette, one something, and that the old town hall is going to be gone. And so, that's
When you said
selling
existing town hall, did you mean old town hall?
old town hall.
Okay, because I don't, if you're talking about the whole thing, I wouldn't put any money in the addition. I just think it's bad. It's
Any money where? In
the addition,
Yeah,
in the new town hall that we have now. I would put it in the old town hall, get it approved, and fix up historically, get more money from CPC. I don't know, and then do a new piece.
That's exactly what I'm thinking, and
Okay,
that would pass. All
But
right.
that's not what's on the warrant, though. I mean, it's not an option for us to consider right now. We can't just throw out a random number and say, it's not something that's been studied. It's not, I don't believe that that's an option for us.
Because all the plans that we have right now envision joint systems between the two buildings. We'd have to redo elevations, I'm assuming, because we've got elevators that are servicing both structures. I don't know enough about it, but I'm guessing if we were to just stop and try to move forward with a plan to just renovate and sort of keep the annex, just leave it alone and renovate the historic building. I don't know, but it would take us, I'm sure it would take us a couple months, right, of back and forth with architects, getting engineering firms involved. Everything would have to be redone. I mean, even the stuff about like the staging for construction, right? I mean, everything was built on the idea that we were going to be shutting down town hall and have access to that site. And now, presumably we want to keep the annex open during a renovation of the historic building. I think it's more complicated than it sounds. if we're talking about like, just putting on a roof, I guess we can just put on a roof, but if we're talking about redoing systems, there are a lot of interdependencies, and I think it's not going to be an easy thing. And my guess is that, what we'd wind up with at the end of the day is a renovated historic building, which we'd be happy with. We'd still be stuck with this, basically piece of crap next to it, that would still be an albatross around the town's neck. And people would still be looking at it, okay, what are we going to do with it now? And 3 years from now, 5 years from now, whenever it is, we'd be stuck at, looking at what we're going to do with the annex. And my guess is it would probably cost more money to do these two projects split than to do them together. That's just my guess. I could be wrong. To me, as I said, I think it just comes down to, this project isn't going to be a cheap project. And we just have to decide whether it's something that's important to the town or not. My vote is yes, but others may have legitimate opinions otherwise.
Josiah, you had your hand up earlier.
No, Carolyn got her hand up.
Okay, go ahead, Carolyn.
Sorry.
No, I just was gonna say, all these ideas were bandied about early on in this process. Our charge was to meet the programmatic needs of the town. We have done that. We now have a choice to either bring this to the town for a vote or ask that it be delayed to the fall. We can't go reinventing what the project is at this stage in the game. The money hasn't been allocated. The select people haven't said, yes, 5 million for Old Town. Like, none of that's been done yet. That's not our job. We have come up with a plan that, we like, with a price tag that we don't. And what we need to decide is, do we feel confident that we have the information that we need to make a good case to the town for their vote for some hopeful success? Or do we think if we delay that we can get that information and make that case? To me, that's the decision, and all the other things are interesting to ponder, but they're not options.
Thank you.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry that I'm kind of whispering. My next door neighbor complained about how loud our meeting was. Thin walls here in Ireland. I have just a couple of stream of consciousness thoughts that may be worth nothing. But this is how I see it and how I guess I feel about it. I hear everything that's being said about the reasons not to bring it, and I don't want anyone to feel like I don't agree that this is a bigger number than I was thinking, for sure. I agree with that. But this is sort of why I feel like we should bring it to the meeting. At this point, the town has already paid so much money to get the plan that we currently have. I feel like we owe it to the people who have paid for that plan to see what it is, right? They've allocated money for us to pay for an architect, for all the things we've asked for. And I feel like we owe it to them to give them the right to vote on it. And I think that we all agree from the actual project standpoint, we're all pretty happy with what we're getting. We're just not happy about what it's going to cost to get there. And it's just my opinion that I'd like to leave it up to the people of the town if they think that that's acceptable or not. And if they don't, I understand that kind of sets us back a lot. But, and I truly don't know this, I'm asking, but can we ask the select board when we meet with them next, like, if this doesn't pass, can we keep going and look for a new alternative? Or does it mean just because this doesn't pass it Is that a no, Carolyn? That automatically ends the project?
I'm just
But
joking.
it's like this, right? Like, I mean, she's joking and it's true, but like, if you're not willing to be on it for like, to try something new, right? Like, I don't know, does everyone want to be on it to keep going on a new project for forever that goes indefinitely? Like, I don't know. I feel like I'd rather have like some clarity here brought by the voters. And if we feel like their sentiment of we just don't want this, but people's, we want this, maybe then we can reevaluate after that. That's just my opinion. I would like to vote yes to bring this to the town, to the meeting, but the only thing I'd say is I don't want to do it if we're going to be a house divided. I think at that point, I would probably vote no, only because I wouldn't want it. I think we need to bring it, or we just shouldn't. Those are my rambles.
Thank you, Tucker. I see Corey's hand up. You with us, Corey?
I am, and my apologies, this is not my meeting, but I did want to jump in. Corey Evans, 313 North Main Street. I wanted to just tee off what Tucker phrased, something that's been in my head quite a bit, which is, a lot of this discussion has been about, the price tag and what the voters feel. I have to fully agree with Tucker that at this point, I think you guys deserve the opportunity to show your work. Every decision you've made has been for a purpose. I think your vote should be about your work, not about the money. This is up to the citizens of Cohasset. And as I think Josiah said earlier, this design was designed for the right reasons, and this is what it costs. And it is absolutely fine for the town to say, that's just too much. We love the design, we love it too, but it's just too much. That's okay. This committee shouldn't be worried about that response. This committee should be very strong in saying, we had a charge and we did that charge. We gave you this design. It is an excellent design. We don't control the money. We don't control how much it costs. And so right now we leave it at your feet. You guys are saying you've done your work and now it is up to the town to make the call about what the next steps are. And we can't be worried about whether that's going to be yes or no. It's going to get there anyway. At a certain point, whether we're asking for 5 million for renovation, or we're asking for 10 million for a rebuild, or we're asking for $1 million for feasibility, it doesn't, no matter what happens, we always have to go to the people and leave it at their feet. So this is a point where you've done your work and it's time for you to show it. And the people will vote whether they feel like we should move forward or not. We can't be scared of that. I do very much agree with Tucker about just being unanimous about the design. Is the design good? If the design is good and you've done your charge, there should be no questions. Individually, you all can vote, at town meeting for it, against it, whatever. But as a committee, you've done your work. And I think a unanimous vote to say, yes, this is our design, this is our work product, is really helpful just so that we can make the right call, whatever that may be. Thanks for listening to me, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Corey. Dave, I saw you in here. I know you're not on the committee. Did you have a comment?
Well, it's the first I've kind of heard of what the new price is. So, I mean, that takes a lot to digest and see where it's going. So I think you've got to say, is that enough time, knowing that it's popped out of the can here at the end? Is that enough time to socialize it to everyone, with the boards included? Not just the people, but as it goes through the process between advisory, capital budget, selectmen, and the like. I mean, they're just learning of it themselves, and it's only a week before the town meeting. So I can see both sides of the argument, but I'd have to think about it for a few to see what it really depends upon what the goal is. If your goal is to get the project completed, then I would say the price makes it very difficult and quite a headwind to do that at this point in time. If you're looking at, well, this is what we've done and let's see what it is. I mean, I think I know where people are going to be on this, but I guess you could go through the boards and see what they think about it, in the next few days, and see what that reception is. That certainly gives you a good, at least a litmus test for what you'd be looking at for town meeting, with the next few days with the boards.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you for that. Okay, so, I mean, my goal here would be to just make sure that everybody is on the same page. Deliberating, we want to be together on this as a group. Best that we be 100% together so that we feel like we're supporting this in a direction that's meaningful for all of us. We have our 3 presentations plus our forum. I think by the end of the week, we're gonna know a lot more, but tonight we should set a direction. And I guess the only choices that I see out there are to promote this plan with a price tag May 1st to this town meeting, or we can talk about delaying it to the fall and seeing if there's see by digesting it, we might be able to find savings or alternatives, or just more time to vet it out, the details that we have not had a chance to do to the fall town meeting. That's how I see it. I don't know how others see it or how we want to move forward, but we need to move forward. So we can sit here and look at each other, I guess. I'm not sure what, you know, I can see signs both ways. It would be nice if we had a few weeks before this town meeting to spend more time on the plans and the money, and you know, maybe go back to CPC, those kind of things. We don't have that luxury. If we put it off to the fall town meeting, special town meeting, is there something to be gained there? With a more understanding of what these numbers mean to us, is that an advantage to us? Is there a way to save money? If we start studying more, are we going to spend more for the fall? Most likely. Are we going to be able to make that up in a reduction in cost? I don't know.
I've never seen it go down. I think we can nickel and dime this and not get very far down. So I think it is what it is. So whether delay, if there's a recession or something, that's a different story. But I just don't think it's helping us unless we need more time to sell it. And I don't know how well we can do that actually, with the cost.
Others? If we were to vote now, what are your feelings? Tucker, you think we should do it now? Is that what I hear from you?
It's my opinion that we should do it now.
Okay. We're not taking an official vote. We're just taking the temperature of the committee here. Garrett, sounds like you're leaning towards now getting it out there.
Yeah, I just at this point, where we are, I don't see what some additional time over the summer is going to do for us. And I think that we're too far down this road to pull it back at this point. I think it would reflect poorly on this committee and the work that we've done to pull it back. And you know, after the meetings that we've had with the committee, the fact that the select board has voted to put this article forward, I just don't see, it doesn't seem viable to me to pull it off and delay. So if that was a conversation that was, you know, a month ago, maybe it was more feasible, but at this point, I think we just sort of have to just charge ahead and see what happens, live with the consequences.
Thank you. Wayne, what is your
it's my feelings have changed a lot since the prices came in, and since I looked at, you know, the different things that we have and don't have and what we want to do. And my thought was it's not going to work. But I don't want to not do something to the historic town hall and not do something potentially, you know, afterwards to the, you know, as a separate thing. Because we just need to do something and accept that it's what that most people are going to say, and I certainly can't say against it, but it's, you know, I just don't want to see it go down without having something done. And if it means in the period between now and September, October, November, in fact, we have the ability in time to have not expensive work done, but some estimates of what that alternative fixing up of the first building first, and then you know, it just because that's the least amount of money of the whole deal, and yet it's gonna have a good result. So I'm not sure if, you know, the people talk with capital budgets and advisory board are going to know sort of know what the hurdle is, just besides the price. You know what, you know, I
Yeah,
guess.
no, I hear your struggle.
Yeah.
You know, you throw out the $5 or $6 million. Well, first of all, you've got to get that money. And where do you get that money? You just don't go out and get it. So now you've got to do a design to get that money. So you're talking about a different design to get $5 or $6 million. If you want to do one part of the project first and the other part of the project, that's a design part. That's a whole different design. That's something we talked about. We talked about that early on, and it was decided that that was more expensive to do two different projects like that. It was least expensive to do them together. And that was Carolyn mentioned, it was vetted out, you know, early on. Tucker, sorry.
I just want to ask just a quick question. And this could just be my ignorance, but if we bring, like, Wayne, what you're saying, I'm not against like coming up with a plan B, but is there any reason we couldn't do that if we bring this to the town on May 1st? I mean, is there anything about getting the town to vote on this that stops us from doing what you're saying? Because I totally agree with you. I think with the price tag, there's a very high likely chance that a lot of people will want to vote no. I agree that I see that possibility, but I feel like we're 100% ruling out that they could vote yes. And they might, right? Or we might, I should say, because we're in it too. So I'm wondering, is there anything about what you're saying that we can't do if we bring it to town meeting?
It's actually the best way to get there. Because either this project is approved and the whole building gets done, or we're out of our holding pattern and something else has to be done. And perhaps that's the way to do it. But the only way to get there is to have this vote. There's nothing on the warrant. There's no, you know, debt exclusion set aside for an old town hall renovation. Like the only way to advance this is to know whether the town supports this project or not. And then either they do and it goes forward, or they don't, and plan B is come up with.
So the select board would have to approve any change like that.
Now I did ask John if he would do some estimates on what it would cost for the things that would be done to the old town hall, just to So my 5 million or $6 million isn't my calculation of what it might be, but someone's that's in it. And that doesn't have to, come up now, but if people in the audience say, well, what are you gonna do now? What are we gonna say? We quit, wait 5 years, get another committee, put it together. When in fact, I want to see something done.
I think that's why we're all here.
Right.
I feel like on that one, Wayne, because that's a really important question, right? Like if it doesn't pass, what now? it's a good thing to ask, but I feel like if it doesn't pass, we as a committee have to decide: A, are we the people that want to pursue the next option? And if we are, do we have the support of the select board, right? And if we do, I think that then we can explore what that looks like. But I just feel like right now, changing on such a large direction, like we kind of have to go back to a lot of the drawing board on that anyway, right? And I feel like before we decide to go in a new direction, we have to ask those questions anyway. Like, I don't know, does everyone want to explore another building? Does the town want us to continue to get drawings and stuff, right? Like, is there the stand behind that by both the town and by the committee members? And I am 100% with you that I want to see something done to this building. It matters to me, right? I really like the building. I worked in it for a summer. I drive by it all the time. It really does matter to me. I'm not just saying that. But I just feel like getting a vote on this from the town doesn't hold us back in any way on doing what you then want to do as a plan B, which I agree is a very good plan B.
Yeah,
My
and I think,
opinion.
Tucker, I think that you're right in terms of what the next steps would be. That we'd need to get some sort of a new mandate from the select board. I think that they would probably look at the results of the votes as something that's going to guide their decision on where they want to go from here. I do think that where there's a possibility that we could do is I think we could make a recommendation, right? Say that if this doesn't pass at town meeting or fails with the ballot box, our recommendation would be to investigate looking at the historic structure. But again, I don't think that there's enough to action at this point where we could say, and we also recommend asking for an additional, and asking for funding for $6 million. I think it would be the sort of thing, essentially the project's going to go on hiatus until they can get some additional funding to constitute a new committee where they can do new studies. Because otherwise we're not going to be able to do any of that in engineering work. We're not going to be able to do any of the new architectural plans. All that is going to basically just pause until this committee is reconstituted. But I do think that we could make a recommendation that says, if this doesn't pass, where we think this should go.
I have a
That's a
question.
good
That doesn't
idea,
mean that
because I
we're-
don't want to.
A quick question.
Wayne.
Will we own all of the work that's been done now by the architects and the other individuals that we can reuse and do other ideas with it? Or is it something that we paid them, but it's like they're copyrighted it? I'm just curious about what that is in the design field.
Well, you saw the issues we went through trying to use old engineering data and studies. We tried to save money by using anything we could from the 2018 studies. And they certainly looked at them, but engineers are not going to take a different company's engineers' drawings for granted and assume that they're going to be right. They want to do their own studies so that they have confidence in their own work before they put it forth to support a project. So
This is kind of a historical thing, whether the owner owns the drawings or the architect owns the drawings. and it would be in the contract because it's been something that has been fought over. The AIA says the architect owns the contract, owns the drawings.
Yeah, let me get back to,
Yeah, now we're probably going to get some ideas from the selectmen tomorrow, right? When we're meeting with them in terms of what do they think is our chances of getting through this, and is there anything we should do, you know, like that idea or whatever, to take what we're saying today and actually try to get some answers from the selectmen tomorrow. To get feedback, because we don't want to go into town meeting without having, the support and stuff like that.
okay, just getting back to how we're feeling on this. Carolyn, do you have you're leaning one way or the other on this, whether we should go for it now or consider some options and going to a special town meeting in the fall?
I do not have strong feelings. I think that there are pros and cons to each. I'm not sure that we're going to find any more information that's going to make the cost more palatable, and the cost is likely to go up in the fall. So I'm not sure that the benefits of delay will outweigh the additional cost. And I do feel like, we've got this town forum set up. Most people I talk to are like, it's about time. We have got to do something with this building.
Okay.
Unfortunately, to meet the needs of the town,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, thanks.
just
Mark,
gonna cost.
feelings on this? Excuse me.
You're muted.
You're on mute, Mark.
Sorry. I'm torn here because I feel that we have a nicely designed building. We did exactly what we were asked and charged to do, with the exception of funding from a net neutral tax perspective. And I think that from a sales perspective of selling this to people of the town, really having a vote 1 week away is not enough time for us to socialize this and get the information out there to people. And so from that reason, I feel that pushing it out doesn't help. It doesn't help the budget, but it helps educate people. I think the price tag is awfully high for what we're sort of getting here in terms of, additional space. But again, that was driven by the programming, right? That was driven by what we had to put in this, and clearly what we were being asked and directed that needed to go in this building wasn't going to fit in the existing footprint that we had, regardless of its condition and state. So, but if we feel that it's up to the town to let the people of the town vote, because they've paid for this essentially for us to get this far, and we owe it to them to make the decision. I respect that too. I just see it as a significant amount of money, but I want to see something done. So if there was a way to navigate through this without having to, and get partially funded here to focus money and energy on the historic side, I'd be in favor of that.
Advantage, Mark, just what are the advantages you see to delaying to the fall? I know we'd expressed them on a phone call earlier, but I think.
Well, I think that, I think also here, we've been looking at this from what's the delta between this and a renovate only. And I think you know, having more time would allow us to take the current market conditions, the scope. I mean, we did just put $100,000 into an elevator. So in theory, we wouldn't be doing much to the elevator in a renovation scope, right? Maybe some cosmetic upgrades. But I mean, we did just sink $100,000 into an elevator that we're going to be tearing out a couple months from now, if this passes. It just, from that perspective, seems inefficient. And I think maybe if we were to true up based on the current conditions and market there, that maybe that would be some worthwhile data. But that number, that renovation number that we have is a pretty old number at this point too. I mean, that's, we use that number to steer us in the direction to get to where we are. But unfortunately, it's led to a price tag that is much higher than I would say most of us anticipated getting to.
Okay, need some help here. We want to move forward together in a direction so that when we meet with these other boards, committees, that we can tell them, you know, what we think is best for this project in the town. I'm hearing most is supporting it at this point. I like the idea of coming out, having something in a pocket for a recommendation if it doesn't go through. But I'm also hearing there may be some benefits to wait till the fall. So what would you like to do?
I just have a quick question. The building we have as it is with the price tag we just saw, is that still in line, do we know, with this kind of Commonwealth average? Per square foot?
We asked that question, Tucker, and apparently it's in line with the average. It's higher than what they've been seeing. And part of the reason we got for that was just that Cohasset is apparently a place that the builders don't want to work in.
Okay. So this is this is still that. Okay. I remember talking to I can't think of the gentleman's name, but I remember him talking about this. Okay. I just wanted to make sure there was no new info. I don't think there's been a meeting since I left, has there? No, so there isn't any new information. All right, I just wanted to make sure that we were still sort of in line sort of with it. So we haven't gone like way out of bounds. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Corey, I see your hand up.
Oh yeah, Corey Evans through and through North Main. Thank you everyone for entertaining me again, but having the good discussion. Tucker, just a data point for your head. The town of Norton, which is on 128, just got their design bid build bid for their town hall, which is about 20,000 square feet. And it came in at about $900 a square foot. I think our cost now is about $950, $960, somewhere around there. They were building a brand new building on a flat piece of land with no historical renovation and no fitment. So, you know, if you use that as a data point, you know, it does seem like this project is within the average within the Commonwealth when you adjust for the other things. Just to kind of answer that one question. The other thing is just for process clarity, you know, if there was a effort to change what the committee does, the select board would have to recharge the committee. I think if this vote goes to town meeting and town meeting says no, or the ballot doesn't pass, it would be very appropriate for the town hall building committee to request the select board to recharge it to do something else. But unless the select board does that, this committee asked for a delay earlier. The select board opted to move forward with this town meeting. So that decision kind of has already been made and was made by the select board. The decision to put it on a future town meeting would also be made by the select board. So it's not something that the committee could vote to, put it to the fall. That would be up to the select board to make that call. Just for process sake. The select board did choose to put it on this town meeting for whatever reason. And, you know, it would have to be the same process if you wanted to be in the fall. Thank you.
Thanks. So Corey is saying that we don't have a choice, that the select board has already told us that we are doing it at this town.
Correct. Yes, it is at this town meeting. And if it gets voted down at this town meeting, the only way that this project would be to move forward is if the select board recharged the committee to do something else, basically, or agreed that the select board would support this coming into the fall, but it has not done that. You know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, the discussion was to delay it. That motion was made, but then a week later it was undone to be done at this point. So that decision, that ship has kind of already sailed. It's on this warrant. It's the ballot's been scheduled. That's already in the mechanisms. There is no mechanism to just push this off. There could be a motion at town meeting floor to do an amendment or something like that, but that still doesn't guarantee this comes back. The select board would have to, you know, again, make the same votes to put it on the warrant to schedule a ballot for debt exclusion in the fall. It would have to go through the whole thing. There is no automatic mechanism to delay it. So just to clarify process, you know, again, it is coming on this at this town meeting. It will exist. And I think Carolyn said it well, which is, you know, a decision by the town at least gives us the idea of what could be next, whether it's a recharge or it's a retry or whatever. But there is no mechanism to delay a decision. A decision is going to be made at town meeting floor and at the ballot, because it's already there. That vote has already been taken.
Thank you. Okay. So we did present the select board with the option to put this off into the fall, and they said no, they wanted it this one around. It does not sound like we have an option to do anything different at this time. Post town meeting, we could go to the select board, as I understand it, and ask them if they want us to do something different. Did I understand that correctly? Did I verbalize that correctly? Okay. So we are moving forward with what we have. And we're going to do the best we can with it. If the town decides that they don't want it, too much money, then we have to go from there. But we really have to give it the best shot that we have. I think everybody has said it very clearly that it is a great design. It's a very functional, safe, economical design, and you know, I think everybody has bought into that. There's been a lot of hard work put into this. And we need to educate the people into that benefit of that. This building that we are building, you know, it's a 40, 50-year building easily. The envelope does not need to be changed if they have to reconstruct any of the offices inside. That was very purposeful design that we put into this to be able to move any of the walls or partitions inside and redesign if need to be down the road. But the mere fact that we have owner's project manager on board to make sure that the quality is much better than what's there in the 1987 edition, you know, says a lot for the design as well. So, you know, I have confidence that building will last the new building, if it's built, will last a long, long time. And the quality standards will be to such a point that people won't be checking to see if there's flashing under the windows in 25 years to see if there's leaks or rot in the wood. I don't see that with the current trades and the oversight that we'll have with this. So, any comment beyond that? I think we need to move forward with what we have. It sounds like we don't have an option. Thank you, Corey, for that clarification. Any comment beyond that? Anybody want to?
Well, we may not have the option of being voted, but we certainly have the option of how we support it.
Sure. So you want to take a vote now?
Mark, are you saying you mean make a recommendation to the select board to pull this
Well, no, we made that recommendation not to put it on, and they
Correct,
didn't.
yeah.
They didn't adhere to that, so clearly we have a select board that isn't going to follow the recommendations of the building committee. So here we are in this position, and again, that was based on the facts strictly of timing. Not being aware at that particular time when we were saying we didn't have enough time to socialize this with the community. And we asked to be deferred from this town meeting to, the next town meeting or special town meeting, whatever that was going to be. And upon our recommendation to do so, they voted against us. And that was before we had an uptick of $3.5 million to the project. And now we're continuing to face that uphill battle. But
Now, in a couple of weeks, there are going to be 2 more different select people. So that may make a change again in the near future. Either good or bad.
So we put our best foot forward and make the best case we have. We have a good plan that meets the needs of the town, and it'll be up to the town to decide if that's an important investment.
Yes, absolutely.
One side clarification, the word override was used earlier.
Yeah.
It's a debt exclusion, not an override. An override would start today and it could grow 2.5% every year for the next 20 years, where the debt exclusion starts when the bond is issued and is just that finite amount of money and goes away at the end of the 20 years. So it's important that we use the right terminology.
Okay. Ooh. Okay. Sorry, I'm struggling with this too. Feel like I'm on a moving target here. Do we still need to vote on this, or is this vote been taken away from us? That's my question. I don't know.
Just a processing. I don't know if you need to vote or not. I mean, you've got it going forward and you're going in front of the boards in the next 2 days. So you have the plan and you could see what comes out of the next few days as the different boards are socialized with the price as well. So.
All right, I'll make a motion that
Thank you.
that we go forward on Monday and present this great plan to town meeting for a vote. In support
Second.
and endorse. That we endorse the plan.
Is the endorse in the motion, Carolyn? That we go forward with the project and
That we go
endorse the
forward
plan?
and endorse the project.
Okay, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I
Aye.
Any against?
Nay, but I'm going to support it.
Thank you, Wayne.
aye.
Thank you.
Can I just,
I think we'll let capital support the money side of it, vote on the money side of it. Go ahead, Josiah.
I just want to heartily endorse Garrett's suggestion about a recommendation, because some of us were on the committee before and we started all over again. I think we learned a lot. We came to a lot of good conclusions that if we had made a recommendation, it would, at least we've done something. we might step back a little bit and split it up or do something political to make it more provable. But I just wouldn't want to start with programming again and, you know, whole new design. It would just be like we're going down the same rabbit hole again. So I think in a recommendation will at least propose a course ahead. That sounds really fatalistic. I realize that. I hope that it passes.
Thank you. No, it comes from, you know, some history on these boards, and part of that is the frustration of spending a lot of time on these boards, coming up with something that you believe in, and then, you know, changing paths at the very end. That can be a real challenge, yeah, from all sides. I don't have anything else. Michelle, if you're still there, is there anything that I missed?
I'm still here. Nope. So you have your vote, your recommendation to move forward for tomorrow night's select board meeting. And you'll open it up for discussion there.
Awesome.
I'm sorry, it's not Zoom. It's not in person.
So it's hybrid. So there's an in-person as well as a Zoom link to participate. And the Zoom link is on the select board's agenda.
Is there a time that tomorrow night that they'll discuss it? Or is it just 5 other things?
Make sure to email you that in the morning and put it on everyone's calendar. I don't have it up in front of me right this second.
I think I looked earlier, I think it said 7:45.
As an appointment time for us?
Yeah. But I think there was, I want to say, I think there was an executive session before, so.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Anything else? We good? Someone want to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in
Third.
favor?
All right.
Aye.
Thank you very much for your time.
Aye.
See you guys
Bye.
tomorrow
Thank you
night.
all. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks.
Thanks, David.
Good night.
Good night now.
Night, everyone.